Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, Chris Level shows off a sickening display of walking around Arkansas Pine Bluff knowledge.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season just around the corner. In some precincts already here. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now in the FanDuel app or at FanDuel.com. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again. Kicking it off for real. Regular season action coming down the pipe this week from Jones Stadium. We will be reconvening Saturday night for the largest drone show ever presented over a college football game. And there's a game too, but the drone show, 900. Okay, I'll get to the drone information a little bit later on in the program. We will spend time on today's episode, Chris, talking Arkansas Pine Bluff. We'll talk about this FCS ritual killing we go through almost every year. I also want to talk about what we saw our first weekend around with a couple of games to consume in the Big 12 Conference and beyond, and also including just a little last-minute disrespecting for a hometown guy. I'll get to that coming up in just a moment. But first, let's turn our attention toward Arkansas and get a little bit of a lowdown to kick off the convo, Chris, on Arkansas Pine Bluff, courtesy of the Jaguar Journal.
Yeah, they were pretty active in the portal, and I also think they hit the JUCO circuit pretty well. They landed a few promising wide receivers in state, a few offensive linemen, but I think the big signing here, Perry, that no one's really talking about is they landed a transfer quarterback. His name is Christian Peters from Shaw University at the D2 level. Last year, he was a Harlan Hill Trophy finalist or nominee. He had almost 2,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, took care of the ball pretty well. A very, very experienced grad transfer, Perry. I know there's been some talk about what Mekhi Hagans was. Like, how good was he really, or was it more Giovanni Gibson on the outside? I think that's a fair conversation because Mekhi Hagans is going to have a QB battle of his own to deal with Quad Brown over at Alabama A&M. But there's an argument to be made that Christian Peters is actually an upgraded quarterback. Now, the bigger question, though, Perry, who is he going to throw to? Because he does not have that guy on the outside, and Giovanni Gibson, who's now at Oklahoma competing for his starting spot as he overcomes his injury. He doesn't have that kind of bailout blanket, which we saw in some of these big wins they had last year or just close games that they had last year. That was kind of his safety blanket. Who is Christian Peters going to throw to? That's my biggest question. And I'll say this, Perry, they were really small, the offensive line and interior defensive line. And in the SWAC, that's going to get you beat up week in and week out.
Chris, this is one of those weeks where you don't necessarily want to make it interesting. That's bad news for the good guys. So it's all about taking care of business and being self-starters, I think, first time out.
It is game week, and this is why I find myself trying to find everything I can about the SWAC, the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, which looks like this giant sun lion logo that they just kind of morphed together. And I'm studying box scores from a year ago, and but hey, man, this is what we're left to deal with here. It's hard to find stuff on Arkansas Pine Bluff and the SWAC and all those things. But thank you to Zach McKinnell for providing some of FCS Football Central for providing some intel there on the Golden Lions. So here's how this week will go. It will go is that Joey and the coordinators will talk later today about. Hey, finally get to play a different opponent, and man, we got a lot to work on, and we're not perfect. All will be true. This is and should be very much a major mismatch, and I can already hear it. Well, I mean, Abilene Christian was supposed to be the same thing last year. Abilene Christian had legit. I mean, they had a bunch of your former players, but they had legit Division I, and that was a Division I team. They had a coaching staff that was. It's a bit different. There was, regional motivation too. A bit of a different thing. But
Powered by Christ. Throw that in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Couldn't hurt.
But you are much different this year, And this is a Pine Bluff team that went 3-9 last year. They opened up the season. Let me just let you try this on for size. They opened up the season last year at University of Arkansas, lost 70-0. Arkansas had the ball 10 times on offense, scored a touchdown every single time. Math, 70. And I think, let's see here, passing yards, 408 to 123, rushing yards, 279 to 7. And I've had some people tell me Pine Bluff might be worse this year. So, but it's all about your guys. It's all about your schemes. It's all about getting guys reps in your uniform and the depth of this team, some reps. Acclimating. Yes, you and I will pay attention to the 950 drones in the middle of the third and fourth quarter. Absolutely. Maybe the band will even do one of those turn out the lights, do a light show or something too. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of pomp and circumstance. Again, not about the steak in this game. It's going to be all about the sizzle, right? But I still want to pay attention to what Barron's got going, what the scheme looks like on offense, what this defensive line looks like. Speaking of the defensive line, you hear Zach McKinnell mention, you're kind of smaller in the trenches, talking about UAPB. This is the projected starting offensive line. Calvin, are you ready?
Yep.
6'1", 6 foot, 6'1", 6'3", 6'2". Some of these guys are very much in the 280-pound range. So probably not going to be tested just a whole lot this weekend, right? If this one is close for whatever reason, I think you have. I can't believe I'm saying this. But you have every right to just panic, go crazy, overreact uncontrollably. Like, what are we doing? We all that. But I don't anticipate that this will be much of a contest. But you never know. But you got to start somewhere, and that's kind of your point, I think, a little bit, Cowan, too, is like we're kind of there are FCS opponents like the Dakotas and some of those kinds of schools that just really cause problems, and then there are other FCS opponents. This is one of the other ones.
Yeah, it really puts the impetus even more so in the trenches that's where you want to see domination. Even before you read those startling numbers off to me, that's where I wanted to see domination. And you're going to want to see it the same way against Kent State. Sounds like we might be signing up some of the worst that college football has to offer from both the football bowl subdivision and football championship subdivision. So that's a fun way to kick off a year because you're getting maybe 165 of 165 whenever Kent State comes to town. Yeah. But regardless of those numbers, these are the matchups where you say your trench work better be dominant, better be consistent, and from beginning to almost the very end, if not the end, because that's really where, on occasion, Chris, clearly you're going to see some differences among skill positions. But in the trenches is where there should really be no comparison between these programs.
Yeah, and again, this will be what breaking the seal on this thing. There was a couple of the national title contenders a couple of years ago that if you looked at their non-conference schedule, it was really just 3 gimmies. And it was heavily criticized at the time, but it was one of those scenarios where it's like, man, this may have been a really good thing for them. You have to hope that that's what this is going to be for Texas Tech. You heard over the weekend we posted the show that I did with Brett Ciancia of Pick Six Previews, and he kind of matter of factly, he's like, yeah, your non-conference will be 3-0, and then we went into some of the other games. This really needs to be that. This just needs to be the first of 3 wins, however you get them. But this is about, again, your schemes, your communication. Like you should have ample opportunity to work through anything that ails you without much stress, because the stress is coming, and it's here in week 4. So and you're gonna get stressed a bit in week 3, I do believe, and I think that'll be a good thing. But these first 2 weeks, we kind of knew this was going to be the case, and it would be like this in any year, but maybe especially so this year with the way you've loaded up and you've got an older team just against a team that went 3-9 last year. They beat, Arkansas Baptist, Prairie View A&M. That was a televised game, by the way. It was a big win for the Golden Lions, and they beat Mississippi Valley. So that's all they had to really show for last year's season. And again, as I've told you, some feel like they're not as good this year. Quarterback moving up from Division II. I don't know where Shaw University is, but I guarantee you Tech's found some film on this young man. So anyway, but yeah, that's all the UAPB stuff I've got in my holster, at least for right now, beginning of the week. But it is game week, and I'm excited. We gotta break the seal on this bad boy before we can get to some of the more meaningful stuff. But yeah, it's fun to be talking opponents and games, and we can talk some reactions too here in a little bit, because there were some other Big 12 teams in action over the weekend and a lot going on.
I'll speak for everybody when I say that was a sickening amount of UAPB knowledge for any man to be just walking around with. So we don't recommend this for civilians. Chris Level is a professional, so don't try this at home. But thank you, Chris, for doing the dirty work on behalf of the Locked On Texas Tech fam family. Can I ask you about these general type of matchups before we move on? Because this would be a portion of the program where I just bitch and moan because I hate these matchups. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For only 24 hours, FanDuel is going to be giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP or eyeing a long shot division winner or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment with FanDuel Futures Day, August 26th. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. August 26th with FanDuel. Play your game. This would be a portion of the program where I just bitch and moan because I hate these matchups as a fan. I think they're highway robbery. They should come with like a six-pack for every fan at the gate if you're paying for a ticket to get in. And I used to just think that's just wish list stuff for me to complain and hope they go away. Looking into the new era, strength of schedule, expanded playoff, non-conference scheduling importance, what's the future for these types of matchups? If we're already questioning group of five collisions, where does the FCS type of matchup fall?
Yeah, I don't want to say that these kinds of games are on life support, but you're coming toward a point to where these are going to be fewer and fewer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, unless you're one of these schools that survives on these paydays. I mean, I don't know what UAPB's budget is, but you're going to put a big check in their back pocket to play this game that allows them to survive a bit. And so some may be saying, well, what do I care about that level? Well, and again, I guess depends on where you're from or who you root for and all that, but it is I hate to say it like this, but it's the truth. It is another component of a feeder system. I mean, UAPB actually lost one of the receivers, because you heard Zach McKinnell talking earlier, like one of the receivers, who are they going to throw to now? One of them is transferred to Oklahoma. So anyway, I don't, but with the SEC kind of making this change to play 9 conference games, I don't know what the ACC will do, but that'll give 3 of the 4 power leagues all playing the same amount of conference games. And that could eliminate more of these kinds of matchups, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for the fan. If you're a fan or like the TV exec, this is great news. If you are a coach or an assistant trying to develop depth on your team and all that, you like these games because it allows you to get more guys in the game and keep the harmony and get them some snaps that are non-stressed, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's I would say big picture wise, we may be getting closer to where these are much, much fewer, especially with this strength of schedule component you mentioned.
At least institute the 6-man high school football rule. If you 45 them in the second half, let's go home. We ain't got to stay till the end. Let's get the drone show in. Go ahead and get them up in the air. Let's roll. Let's save the PA guy's voice for the next week. That's going to hopefully be a lot of Red Raider touchdowns and whatnot. Chris, look, we haven't spent a ton of time on this kind of thing, switching gears this offseason. There's been ample opportunity to do so, but I don't care about lists. I don't care about perceived internet slights. I don't care about Joe Blow TikTok or Twitter account that covers, quote unquote, college football and how they see a power ranking set from this locale or that locale that they've never been to, never really observed, whatever. Have I made it clear? I don't generally care about these things, but I feel like it's starting to pile up a bit when it comes to the disrespect. And I'm talking about one guy in particular, and this now bled over into the season as maybe, I don't know, you were taking in some college football over the weekend. I want to get to some results at large in just a moment. But first, this little beef that I've got to cook with you. Not with you, but with media, I suppose. And this is related to Baron Morton, number 2. Maybe some of you noticed this graphic. If you were watching an ESPN college football broadcast over the weekend, you might have seen a list of notable returning Big 12 quarterbacks: Sam Levitt, Sawyer Robertson, Rocco Becht, Avery Johnson, Josh Hoover, Noah Fafita, Jalen Daniels represented. That's the end of the list. Baron Morton just at the last minute, Chris, on the receiving end of a little bit more motivation, I guess, going into the year. He's had plenty. And I got to tell you, in some ways, I mean, we've talked about this. I can understand some skepticism as injury has been a consistent part of his storyline. And that's limited some of what we've seen, even if he has been available for games, I guess, over the years. But this is even a little bit of a straw that's breaking my camel back here, because some of these guys he outright beat, statistically surpassed, etc. Take your pick. And he didn't even deserve a mention. I don't know if you noticed this over the weekend or not, Chris, or if it would even trigger you to the degree that it kind of has me. But I got beef with this. Is it grinding your gears?
Yeah, Baron beat 3 of these guys, and I'm not going to sit here and listen to somebody excuse Baron's absence on a graphic like this because of injury concerns or whatever. Why is Jalen Daniels pictured? He tapped on the top of his helmet last year and was like, you know what, I think I'm going to sit this thing out. I mean, he's always hurt, always, and when healthy, he's very, very good. And we'll talk about Kansas in a little bit, but. Yeah, it's not even, if you're looking to put a graphic like this together, and odds are this is somebody on the production team. Maybe they had an axe to grind. Maybe they have no idea about anything Big 12 related or Fox related or whatever, wherever this was. Because I guess this would actually have been on ESPN. So maybe they are just. I don't know, but because 8 looks better than 7, it's easier on the eyes. You could have.
It defies all logic. You're trying to come up with something,
and like
there's nothing.
So I think he threw for more yards than most of these guys. He threw for more touchdown passes than most of these guys. He beat 3 of them. Yeah, it's just kind of a weird omission, honestly. And his team is ranked in the top 25 in the preseason. Like I don't know why. I don't know the point there, unless it's just pure stupidity or you were looking to take a shot, but Noah Fafita doesn't belong on there. I mean, sorry. He was supposed to be a top quarterback last year. He was throwing to a top 10 pick. They sucked. Guess what? Baron beat them too. Caleb Douglas was catching passes over Dakario Davis, who's one of the top corners in the country from a transfer standpoint. Caleb Douglas lit him up for over 100 yards receiving. Who was throwing those balls to him? I mean, and Baron played all of his games last year. He was healthy for all 12. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it is. People noticed. I don't know why. Baron will have his opportunity to tell his story, is kind of what I wrote out on social media. And I don't want to say that like he's making notes and all that, but he's aware of some of this. I actually had somebody very important that saw what I had said on social media, and they said, people haven't seen the real Baron Morton since the first half at Oklahoma State. That's the last time that people got to see him when he was truly healthy. And he was a kid at that point. And I remember Mike Gundy after that game was like, that guy's going to be a problem for years to come for everybody. Like we are in trouble. Like, I mean, this is not going to be good for the rest of the league and this and that. And he has battled injuries. I certainly get it, but now he's a mature, grown adult. And I think he's now well studied, and that wasn't always the case, as he's learning. And it's the way with a lot of quarterbacks. But they felt like he was going to prove everybody wrong this year. We'll see. He will get that opportunity, but I will be as excited to watch him on Saturday and watch him do his thing as much as anything else all the rest of the year, because he's largely going to decide this thing. He's going to kind of, make it break it, that's just the way that this thing is going to go. And yeah, some of these other components are absolutely going to have their say so too. But yeah, I was a bit drawn off sides by this.
Look, nobody's getting in the huddle like be included in an ESPN graphic on 3.
No,
they're saying Big 12 champs and things like that on 3. So we're not here like Chase being included on it. But that one even felt like beyond the pale because it's just like, hey, here's a rando graphic of Big 12 QB. Surely he would make this a top 7 or 8. And maybe we should attribute it to stupidity. I don't know.
That's all I can come up with. I mean, the guy's 14-4 as a starter, won 8 regular season games last year. Quarterback wins against the 2 teams that won the league, and one of them on the road. They were undefeated at the time. I don't know. I just, very bizarre to me. But this wasn't the first time that he had been slighted or down the list of QB rankings and all that stuff. But again, the games are here. He will get the opportunity to put the pen in his hand and write his story, and then you get to see the results. So
it could have been like some bald-headed chick that thinks a blue Detroit Lions jersey with the name Sanders on it is for Shadur. Who knows what ESPN's working with? Chris, before we get out of here, can we reflect on the weekend that was, including some of our Big 12 brethren, which also included brethren fighting a fatherin in one instance? What a wild start. Can we reflect on the weekend that was, including some of our Big 12 brethren, which also included brethren fighting a fatherin in one instance? What a wild start.
Yeah, so the Iowa State-Kansas State game, it felt like I was watching Packers and Bears, in the rain conditions. I can't even see what yard line it is. I'm squinting. I'm like, okay, where are they even at on the field? Everybody's fumbling the ball. Just the precip was a problem. The conditions, the field was just an absolute mess. There's so many beer cups stacked up on top of each other on different sides of the stadium. They're doing the beer snake thing. The different fan bases were
all-time snakes.
It was an unbelievable atmosphere. Yeah, unbelievable atmosphere. I was glad that the Big 12 conference got to be showcased a bit, and it was just like I was more stressed watching this game than I guess I thought I'd be, just because you could just feel the magnitude. I mean,
it felt like November, man.
Yes, and keep in mind the coaches, when there wasn't a media poll, the coaches did vote on a poll and everything like that, and this is who the coaches had as 1 and 2 in the league. So this was a major game, and I think it's fair to say, yes, some will overreact, some will crown Iowa State, some will take Kansas State out of it, but it is very fair to say, go look at Iowa State's schedule. It may be right before Halloween before they lose a game. I mean, and they've got quite the feather in their cap, having to win over Kansas State right out of the gate, and so, and you need, and you're going to need Iowa State to lose some games. We got what we wanted, though. Some would disagree with our premise because it's like, hey, you may want Kansas State to win that game because you play Kansas State if you take care of your business. Because now the game against Kansas State, if you win it, it doesn't look as good as it would have, and all the things. But there's so much still to go. Matt Campbell's decision to go for it on 4th and 3 and to kind of end the game as opposed to just going up 6. This is the modern day football, people. It was almost like a no-brainer decision. Why do I want to kick a field goal in a sloppy field when I put up 6? I'm just begging to lose by 1, as opposed to going for it and then you win it. All the analytics that are out there, it's all based on winning the game, not extending it, not hanging in there, not being safe. It's winning the game, and they did just that. But two of the top quarterbacks in the league. The Dylan Edwards injury really, I thought, changed the dynamic of the game. He doesn't fumble that muffed punt, and he's their starting running back and thought to be one of their main weapons on offense, but he doesn't fumble that punt. Maybe he's healthy and plays that whole game, but that was a double whammy there because not only you turn the ball over, but one of your best players is out for the game, does not return. And then we got people fighting out in the parking lot after the game was over. Too much Guinness. Yeah, too much Guinness.
Chris, I was going to ask you a question I never anticipated asking when we started this show. You ever fist fight your dad in a puddle?
I don't know what the heck was going on there.
Did you hear the comments? I heard comments from Mr. Johnson after the game when reached for comment. He said, "Win in Dublin, fight your family, get drunk. What are you going to do?"
That's some Irish mob stuff. Yeah, we had the loss. You had Avery Johnson being criticized, play calling criticized. You had, just sloppy play and all that. I mean, Rocco Becht is now 3-0 against Kansas State. He's thrown for like 900 something yards in these 3 games. And I think it's like 8 or 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. So he is just a Kansas State killer. And to be fair, I want to make sure I mention this. I criticized him a bit on some of the top ranking lists, but yesterday or over the weekend, I should say, I mean, it looked really, it was really good. So we'll kind of see what it continues to look like. But yeah, when you have family members releasing statements after this game saying, we regret our actions, we like to apologize to everyone involved, EMA, go Wildcats or whatever. I mean, like that's just you're taking L's all over the place there, man. I mean, what a nightmare trip to Dublin, Ireland it was for the purple team. And then Kansas debuts the new stadium. We get the Jalen Daniels Love Fest. He took lots of hits. But I'm telling you, folks, go look at Kansas's schedule. If you are anywhere where you can kind of do the Google, or after you're done listening to this, go Google that Kansas team. And if they beat Missouri, I think they'd come into Lubbock undefeated. They don't really have much of a test on paper, assuming Jalen Daniels stays healthy. I mean, because they're playing like the Arizonas and the UCFs, the Cincinnatis. Maybe they slip up somewhere.
Wagner.
See,
disrespecting Wagner.
I mean, it's just I think they could roll in here in mid-October and be undefeated. And it's funny because I've seen in the last week alone, for whatever reason, Kansas was like, they're going to be the one that screws this up for a lot of teams this year. Like they are going to be the chaos agent that jacks it all up. Jalen Daniels, if he's healthy, I heard Josh Pate say it. I heard Andy Staples say it. I've heard Bruce Feldman say it. I mean, all these nationally respected writers, these national folks, just all of a sudden, it's like, and if you look at their schedule, I mean, there's not a lot going on there until mid-October, and they really just have 2 tough road trips, one of which is to Lubbock. So that could be a much bigger game than we would have previously thought. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, both of those, Iowa State and Kansas, now 1-0 on the season.
Off and running, man. What a college football kind of way to start college football season. You just can't script it any better. Welcome back to the Big 12, Matt Wells. Thank God, in somebody else's shirt this time around. And can't wait to see what week 2 will bring, including the Red Raiders Saturday night under 950 drones. Not the entire time. Chris, looking forward to it, my man. Enjoyed it. And we got a whole lot more to dive into this week. We'll digest some comments from Red Raider leadership on the other side of that meeting with the media later today. So looking forward to it, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, and you'll get your injury report today at some point later today. We'll try to pass that along, break it down on tomorrow's show. But this isn't a Big 12 game, so you're not going to get your official injury report through the league on the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and all that stuff. It'll be like a normal week. But I guarantee you, we don't know who they are, but not just Quentin Joyner, who was well publicized, but I guarantee you there will be others that will miss a game or 3 that, that have happened in the last couple of weeks or something that just went unreported or under discussed or whatever. And so we'll have to keep an eye on all that going on, and then find out what the coaches say about the Golden Lions. The Golden Lions out of the SWAC coming for a tough test on Saturday night.
That's right.
I was trying to be dramatic there. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you, Chris, and everybody for being out there. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the Everydayers for always riding along. And, of course, a shout-out to the Matador Mob. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial at your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks, as always, for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.